Man, I hope it gets better than that. So I just watched the first episode of the Ahsoka series tonight, and I'm gonna watch the second episode tomorrow. So much of the first episode was spent catching viewers up on the events of Rebels, which is fine, but it felt like an information dump, when in reality all of this information could have been spread throughout the series or a few episodes in order for the first episode to not feel like a previously on hour-long chunk of expository dialogue. Beyond that complaint, I just didn't find this episode all that engaging. I felt like all of the characters were just almost emotionless. Did anyone else feel that way? Just kind of flat acting across the board. This works well for Ahsoka. I think Rosario Dawson is great and carries the character of Ahsoka very well, but the entire cast around her just felt rigid and stiff, wooden, whatever other words I can pull up in the thesaurus. Minus Clancy Brown, of course, the actor who plays the role of Mr. Krabs in the Star Wars show Star Wars SpongeBob SquarePants. He was great. There are two things that I thoroughly enjoyed about this episode. The score was fantastic. It felt at times almost kind of Hans Zimmer-y, very orchestral with a dash of heavy electronic music mixed in. The other thing that I really enjoyed was the scene where Sabine was flying down the highway on her speeder and some Star Wars punk rock was playing in the background. That was just a really fun scene. And a really great character introduction, especially for people who are not familiar with the character of Sabine. You basically learn everything you need to know about this character in this moment. Those two things really stood out, the score and that scene. Those two things were by far my favorite components of the first episode. I'm looking at this thing like a show, a story, nothing more. I'm not looking at this thing like Where's Waldo of Star Wars references and Easter eggs. That kind of stuff does not make something great or even good to me. I could care less about that stuff, in all honesty. My focus is always stories, characters, and then, production stuff like cinematography and acting. The meat and potatoes of what makes something timeless and memorable. This first episode left a lot to be desired for me. I did enjoy the pacing. Some might call it slow, but I enjoyed, my shows to be heavy with dialogue. But again, there was just so much expository dialogue meant to catch the audience up. I'm curious if somebody that's never watched Rebels or, is not familiar with the character of Ahsoka, was this information dump completely overwhelming? Who's this? What's that? What did she just say? Huh? What? I can see how it would be pretty overwhelming. There were moments peppered in that had a tinge of emotion, a little bit of thoughtfulness, but 95% of it was, as I said, just laying out the groundwork of what came before, I feel like. I hope now that that's out of the way, the next episode and beyond will be able to full steam ahead and fully jump on the right track. I hope the series explores areas of the Star Wars universe mystically and spiritually and physically that we've never explored before, because if it doesn't, what's the point? So overall, stiff acting, so much exposition, flat characters, which is a shame because these characters are not flat. Shouldn't be flat in live action either. I have a feeling most people are going to say to their friends who are thinking of watching Ahsoka and are not familiar with these characters, they'll probably say, you should just go watch Rebels. Andor spoiled me, man. Andor spoiled me. What did you guys think of this first episode of Ahsoka? Am I in the minority, as I often am, with these quick opinions? Or do you agree? I'm curious. Of course, I'm going to keep watching the show, but I hope it gets better from here. HelloGreedo, out.